We are at Niagara Falls.
Okay.
The water's beautiful here. So much energy moves through this place that it is a great location to relax the mind and body.
Okay. And why is it significant?
Water.
Water.
Water flows here. Water is a significant agreement within this universe. They call it an archon because it creates an arc or a bridge for us to experience a certain aspect of reality.
Okay. I'm staying very relaxed. As your voice is a little quieter, it's slightly breaking up on the microphone, so please make sure that you're loud enough for it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So please can I ask who I'm talking to?
You are speaking to the energy signature known as Nocturnis.
Okay. And as before, can I question your intentions for this communication?
Absolutely.
What are your intentions?
My intentions are to transmit a vibration of healing and ascension consciousness to the planet, which I am doing through this vessel at the moment.
Okay.
That's just fancy smanchy talk for I intend to raise the vibration of the planet.
Okay.
It can all sound so serious sometimes, doesn't it?
Indeed. Okay then. So what about water then? What do we need to know?
Water is a very beautiful aspect of creation. This is something that you could say I quote unquote specialize in because the night is synonymous with the ocean. The darkness or the darkness of the ocean is our source. It is what's known as the void to many spiritual enthusiasts. So water is super important because it is a part of everything. Everything in the organic level. It is the Trinity. It is H2O. It is the three in the Kabbalistic teachings. It is an aspect of creation that one should be very familiar with in all its different aspects. On the physical level, simply drinking pure water that has been distilled of all of its muddling qualities or the distorted vibrations that it can carry, as it can carry anything. Simply drinking that will improve the physical vessel's overall functionality. On the subtle level, the water allows for the prana to flow through the body. It is a flushing agent. So subtly, pranas are able to move and get their way into subtle little crevices of the body that may need to be unblocked or perhaps opened in a certain degree according to the nature of the vessel.
How does water help with that on an energetic level?
It provides a medium for energy to move. Water is very special because it takes on very extreme degrees of minerals, energies, pranas, whatever you want to call them. Without water, you are unable to move, essentially. You could call space water. And of course, we are not saying that they are the same thing. We are saying that they both serve similar purposes and that they are mediums of exchange. Space is where we interact with other individuals. We can communicate language and such through the medium of space. So can energy through water. So you can see how having a large amount of it would allow you to hold and carry larger amounts of energy.
So water is an enabler for movement.
Yes. And if you look at the 4 elements, of course there's 5, but if you look at the 4 physical elements, you see that water and fire kind of assume opposite roles. Water allows and is a vessel for, fire breaks down, fire condenses. So you can look at the elements in these different relationships. So you can see how if the body is unbalanced and does not contain the necessary amount of water, that many of its optimal functionalities become hindered.
And thus they break down.
Yes, yes. You can see it now. Many individuals who are breathing hard simply by walking, a motion that should be effortless, but they are overabundant in certain elements and lacking in others. So simple tasks become difficult. We are not assuming that this is right or wrong. This is just the result of individuals' choices.
So does water have a balancing effect? As you say that some people have too much of some minerals and too little of others. So does water help to regulate and balance?
Yes, absolutely. One example we like to use is the fluids in the head. When you move the fluids around and they're unbalanced, you feel dizzy and disorientated. The water literally grounds you in this physical reality, but not ground as you think of in dirt, of course. Grounding as in the aspects of creation. You become a part of it. The water becomes you and you become the water. The body becomes water to a certain extent.
Okay. All right then. So has water so just as our being has different bodies activated in various realities, like our yellow ray body is activated in this 3rd density, does water have different bodies, or is that just,
Yes.
Okay.
Water is on the various energetic levels, from the lowest to the highest. At least in the dualistic sense. We have the water on the subtle level is one of the 5 major pranas in the Hindu tradition, the Vedic tradition. You can see that there are 5 major and 5 minor pranas. So are there 5 elements. So those pranas are on the subtle level. So your energetic bodies, your higher density bodies, as you are calling them, are also affected by simply consuming it. Because when you do something in the physical reality, you've been doing it in all dimensions. You are multidimensional simultaneously. So drinking water does affect all of your subtle bodies, and doing subtle work, such as meditation and such, affects all of your denser bodies.
Okay, so what form would water take in like higher densities then?
It would take almost the same form, except it would appear like liquid crystal, basically. It's just brighter. That's In terms of our five senses, that's the best way to describe it.
Do we have the same senses in the fourth density?
You have sense organs. To say they are the same would not be accurate. You do have sense organs that have senses of subtle energetic vibrations. They are not the same senses, but they're mirrored in the higher form. To describe them is not very helpful because you are already very familiar with it. The senses you have in your dreams are certain energetic organs that you have. That's why you can many people report, including Brendon, that they can taste colors and such in their dreams. Like there's some sort of mixing of the senses. And so you just have different experiences.
Would that include being able to sense things coming up in time? For example, in a dream, I can sense or tell that something's about to happen and or therefore manifest it.
Yes.
So it would include time senses?
Yes. The sense of time is a sense.
So premonitions then?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any...
But once you're aware of the fact that you create a sense of time, it doesn't become the future anymore.
Okay.
Because you're the one creating future, or the idea of future. So you begin to mold even that as well. And we're not saying that this all happens consciously, because there's so many things happening at once. You allow yourself to figure it out intuitively. That's kind of what the subconscious is analogous to, the intuition. It's very strong, very powerful. And simply by relaxing, you allow that to come out more and more.
Would that be the same in this reality? Can we get a better handle on creating our own futures in this reality?
Yeah.
How would you... So I suppose it's the same as the law of attraction, creating your own futures and creating your own realities. But how can we get a better handle on that in this third density reality? And is it harder in this reality?
It is not harder. It is simply different. Paying attention to your dreams is a very effective tool for manifesting a reality in the third density. Other methods would be breathing, conscious breathing, being aware of the body's subtle movements. Just paying attention is extremely helpful for helping you manifest what you want, because the law of attraction is very simple. You create an intention, and then you put a certain emotional energy and your various conscious energetic attentions to that, and you allow for it to happen. It's the allowing that is lacking in the overall energetic scheme of manifestation here on this planet. We are trying to control and confine what the possibilities may be. Many of us are doing it subconsciously, but it's something that we've been taught to do for our survival. This was useful for when we were on the same basis as many animals were, where it's just about surviving and filling your stomach. But once you have been granted certain psychic faculties, this no longer becomes a burden. So you can allow for greater possibilities to happen because you're aware that the things that you thought you needed all the time are already being supplied for you, basically all by itself. You're not really doing anything for it to happen. For example, you just so happen to be born into a family that had plenty of food and shelter. What did you really do to get that? You didn't do anything. The universe provided that for you. But seeing as you are an aspect of the universe, you are attracting all these amazing experiences to yourself. So you're looking at it from a communal perspective. You don't have to do a lot of work. You have to allow the work to happen without pointing fingers and saying what's right and what's not right.
Yeah. So will there be survival issues in the fourth density, or is that no longer an issue?
Survival is a certain energetic frequency, you will find that in the higher spheres, survival is in everything. Everything you do promotes your survival because you can never not survive. The awareness of being eternal is there, so survival is an ever-present vibration.
But worries about survival issues, is that eliminated? Is true abundance realized then?
Well, if you realize you're eternal, would you worry about dying?
No.
No. But we're not saying that everyone on the fourth density is aware they're eternal. That is also something that is kind of misconstrued in the community. We're just talking about energetic vibrations here. Knowledge is also vibration. There is a certain level of knowledge in certain spheres. There are some spheres where every single individual shares the same common subjective I. That's known as Christ consciousness. Those two can be analogous if we're looking at it in a broad spectrum. And so certain frequencies like the fourth density, you can still be in a certain vibration where you are atheistic. You say that there is no total reality, there is no subjective or objective truth. It is completely created by just my little individual aspect. And that is what creates a lot of suffering.
Okay. So, is there any more we should know about water?
You are water. So everything you need to know about it is within you. Be open to new ideas. A lot of people don't realize the power of water, the power that it has. If you look at old lore, the rivers were the sacred places of healing. That was a message for us to tell us how important it really was. So look into how the ancient traditions speak on water and see how that reflects in our modern day world and see what you can do to really help yourself.
Okay. If you drink too much water, though, don't you end up with an electrolyte imbalance?
Yes.
Okay. Right.
I can tell you now, a majority of individuals that will be listening to this conversation have not had too much water.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to ask about technology and the integration of it into the third density human. And first of all, about this being an agenda on this planet. Do you have any comment on that?
Yes, we would like to establish right now to all of you listening that computers are not consciousness. We need to understand this. This is a rumor that has been going around that AI is some sort of omniscient, sentient being of some sort that can just take over whatever it wants. We have to understand that computers can only learn from what they can gather. In order for a machine to learn something, it has to have a database to pull from. We give that machine its database. We give it all of our personal information, and we tell it to copy us.
Yeah.
So the only way that a machine could take you over is if you just gave everything to a robotic process. We do that already. We are run by artificial intelligence already. That is what the egoic construct is. It is a mental creation for your individualized experience. It's a program. It is no different from AI that is being introduced now in our modern world. So there is no need to fear on the properties and the potential for this technology. Yes, there are individuals that want to use it to control. Of course, there will always be people like that. What we have to understand is that just like humans, AI are programmed and predicated on survival first. So if a majority of humans make the decision that they want the AI to tell us its original creator or work for us instead, it would do that. It's not loyal to its creator. It is predicated on survival. Notice how many people will denounce their religion to survive. They will denounce their faith. That's what's happening in the Middle East. It is not about how you think it works. Like, it's very, very, it can be very stressful because we get so caught up in our minds about what the AI is and what's going to happen to us that we don't do anything. We freeze and watch it happen and get scared when people make little robots about it and tell us that these robots are going to take over through movies and Hollywood and entertainment, quote unquote. Don't worry, you have nothing to fear.
But as you said, they would worry about their own survival. So as they're supposed to be gaining in intelligence and surpassing our own intelligence, wouldn't they come to the natural conclusion that we might be a threat to their survival, or they might try and take over because that's the most logical thing to do?
Well, how would they surpass our intelligence when the only intelligence they have access to is the ones that we provided?
Well, it's faster at processing, and it might just come to conclusions which negatively impact humanity.
Yes, an AI is a faster processor for specific tasks. The human body is the fastest processor on the planet at the moment. There is no quantum computer faster than a human body. We also need to realize that quantum computing is not some sort of digital artificial reality. Quantum computing is analog. That means it's physical. That is something that is very real in your physical reality. Quantum mechanics tells us that everything's in a superposition and that our observations of it change the outcome. Quantum computing uses that fact to process certain functions, but it can't process any faster than a human brain can.
Okay. Well,
because it's all on a quantum level. It's made out of atoms, just like my brain is. So it can't compute faster the way we think of it. Yes, it can think faster than us, but an AI cannot feel. So feeling is also processing and computing and analyzing a situation. So the whole Hollywood propagated idea that AI can take us over is quite under-examined because we haven't seen our true potential yet.
But what about the scenario where they would create an AI for the purpose of controlling humans?
This has already happened. AI is responsible for tracking all of our Facebook, Twitter, internet interactions. So that's already been done. But it's not like they can force us to do anything. This scenario that you're talking about is a scenario of complete and total control. Complete and total control of humans and our behavior and everything like that. This is something that's propagated by media very hard. This is a potential. You see it in all the movies. It's a subconscious programming. This can only happen. I'm sorry?
Why are they programming us with this scenario?
So that we will be afraid of it.
Okay.
If you look, none of Those things are happening. If it's not happening right in front of you, in your physical reality, it's an illusion. It's not real. It's an idea. That's what Maya is. We are strucken by Maya because all the time we go uneasy, we become unbalanced by certain thoughts that propagate you being unable to manifest what you truly desire. But you choose those thoughts within your consciousness. That's what the media does. The media programs people to contain certain thoughts in their consciousness so that they behave a certain way. This is being done all the time. This is what happened when Reagan was president. When Ronald Reagan was president, they used the media to tell everybody that the economy was going well. And because everyone thought the economy was going well, they behaved as if the economy was going well. And guess what? The economy went very well.
So it changes their actions, plus people manifest things going well as well.
Yes, but that's what you're choosing to pay attention to. We're not saying that they have all the power over you. We're saying that's what you're choosing to pay attention to. The people chose to pay attention to the president's words that the economy was flourishing, and because of that, they manifested that result. Beautiful. It's always consistent. The law.
Indeed. So at the moment, truthers are paying attention to the cabal being taken down, and that seems to be happening in alternative media. We hear about this happening.
Yes.
Is this really happening?
Yes and no. It is happening, but it is not as dramatic as one may think. On the energetic level, there are beings who are allowing energies to come through. They've taken on the responsibility of aiding the earth in its ascension. These are the quote-unquote controllers. But because there are so many distortions on the planet that require clearing, those manifest into people that appear as controllers, like our government and many financial and political leaders in our realm. Those are a manifestation of the distortions that are on the planet at the moment. And so the people controlling the sphere are using the resources, the energy already on the earth to aid it in its ascension. So this does result in many chaotic situations becoming known in public to everybody. This is what has to happen. If we are to become a collective, we have to clear out all the aspects of the planet that don't allow us to effectively communicate with one another as a collective. And this whole change of the guard situation is a manifestation of that. It is real, but it is not an absolute solid thing. It is a manifestation of the structures that must be taken down and built back up anew. Yes, government will exist still. It will be built on different foundations, however. In order for that to be built, old foundations must crumble. Yes, it is dramatic. Yes, there is collateral. That is the way it has to be. We manifested it that way. The law is always the law.
So how can we connect better to the mass consciousness and
becoming grounded in the Earth's sphere? Many people who live within cities, including this vessel, live in a place where there is a literal barrier between the magnetic field of the planet and the human vessel. Concrete is a very, very prevalent example. Your feet are no longer grounded in the Earth's magnetic field. There is a barrier between it. This doesn't allow you to tune in to the natural vibrations of the Earth that are constantly healing and cleansing and allowing and providing. It is beautiful indeed. but it is something that we lack. And it is because we lack this simple aspect of being a human, we feel like there is so much lack in the world. We've created a fake matrix, a matrix made out of substances overly abundant in certain areas and drastically lacking in others, that creates an energetic imbalance, so we cannot attune to the earth anymore.
Do you think because we are not connected with the earth physically, that subconsciously we sense this lack?
Subconsciously, yes, and it affects our aura. Immediately affects our aura. Our aura is, on the physical level, the magnetic field of our body. And if we're not in tune with the magnetic field of the planet, our magnetic body can be influenced and changed in various ways that may affect our health, our consciousness, our psyche, etc.
So is our magnetic field unable to reach down beyond the concrete? And are we not?
It can.
But are we not always within the Earth's magnetic field anyway?
Yes, we are. But when your feet come in contact with the ground, the free radicals in your body become magnetically attractive to the ions on the planet. And this actually cleanses you physically of certain energetic frequencies.
So you make
That is being unable to happen, so the physical egoic consciousness gets distorted.
so we're unable to make a circuit.
Yes, think about someone's daily habits. They live in a home that has a foundation that is many feet deep below the earth, that does not allow them to be grounded. They are in a sheltered vehicle that does not allow them to be grounded while they are moving through the earth. And then they move into another building that also has the same foundation their home does. So 24/7, they never are in contact with the earth. And we wear shoes, rubber shoes that do not allow electricity to conduct.
Yeah.
We don't go outside. We never receive the sun's rays. We don't receive the fresh air. We block ourselves off from all these energies, so it creates a huge imbalance in the body.
So one should make sure they have a grassy patch that they can go and stand on.
Yeah, for sure. Or whatever you feel comfortable outside. I personally, as Brendon, like to go on a hike without shoes on. It is something I really enjoy. I like the challenge. I love the feeling. And when I'm done, I wish I never would leave.
My partner does that. He walks for miles in bare feet. We walked for 3 hours in the summer and he was barefoot through the woods.
Yes, Brendon constantly ran miles and miles barefooted. So fun.
Yeah, gotta toughen up those soles.
Yes, toughen up your soul.
Yeah, so the concrete is creating a barrier for us to connect and make a circuit with the earth then. So what effects does this have on us physically and mentally, not ever having a circuit with the earth then?
Free radicals build within the body. And when free radicals build within the body, these are certain vibrations that are distorted. So you could say it's disease, you could say that you have certain thought patterns, you could say that you have certain pains in the body, certain stiffness stored in the muscles. It manifests in so many different ways. Notably, you could say mentally, your mind is unable to calm down. If you don't have the ability to make your mind be quiet, you have no control over your mind. So that happens when there are numerous free radicals all within the body that are constantly interfering with the flow of your mental pranas. On the physical level, all the free radical buildup in your body creates soreness and tension, inability to move. you must sleep for longer periods of time because your body goes into a certain brainwave and energetic state that allows you to clear free radicals, so you end up sleeping very long periods of time. We could go on, but the energy of the body and the energy that is allowed within your consciousness affects you in every level, as everything is connected.
So that might be another reason why people feel a bit more dozy and tired and unwell in the winter months, is because they're more likely to stay indoors, not sit outside.
Yes, that is one big factor. Another factor is now that you're not being supplied with as much heat from the elements as you were before, your body has to produce its own heat, its own energy. So this actually causes you to clear out many vibrations that you need clearing out. This is why people get quote unquote allergies. This is just the mucus and various gunk within the body that is being cleared from your body heating itself up and churning the energies within your body. That is why animals hibernate. It is not just to conserve energy, but it also burns all the excess fat and gunk in the body that was being stored there.
Okay, so can crystals help with clearing free radicals at all, or not?
Absolutely. Crystals create a magnetic field that attract free radicals and neutralize them. That is what the purpose of the Himalayan salt lamps are for. They produce negative ions that are attracted to the free radical positive ions in the air, and they neutralize the atmosphere. That is why people feel calm when they use them.
Would the same effect happen if you had like an Epsom salt foot bath?
Yes.
So can you take, say for example, quartz crystal, and by holding it, would that help absorb some free radicals?
Quartz amplify energy. Notice how it's clear. A better crystal would be selenite.
Okay, I've got a big bit of that, yeah.
Or tourmaline.
Yeah. Okay. So what is a free radical and why is it bad?
A free radical is a positive ion in the physics community, but on a more general level, a free radical is an unstable prana. It's an unstable form of energy. And if it's found within the body, it creates instability in the body, obviously. So a free radical is, imagine a hydrogen ion with no electrons. The first priority of that hydrogen ion is to find an electron to bond with. And until it does it, it is moving about and being influenced by all the other frequencies around it as it is polarized to a certain magnetic field.
Okay. So does the free radicals harm the body?
Yes. Of course, you will always have some form of free radicals in the body. It is an overabundance of them that creates problems. Your body can handle a lot, as you can see right now. It can handle a lot of mental, emotional, and physical stress and still maintain a certain level of performance. So it's just about helping your body to do what it already does. That is our huge message. You're not doing anything special. You've always been doing it. You're just promoting your habits so that they continually aid your body in what it's already doing.
Okay. And isn't it true that green, leafy green plants, or like spirulina and chlorella, rich in chlorophyll, isn't that meant to mop up free radicals as well?
Yes, absolutely. There's a beauty in vegetable kingdom.
Does this prevent aging then?
Yes. Aging is a result of oxidation within the body. If you eat foods that have, this is called the ORP, or the oxidation rate potential, meaning how much oxidation it promotes within the body. If you consume foods that have a negative ORP, a negative oxidation rate, they reverse the aging process. You can do this with water as well. You can provide your water with certain minerals that create a negative ORP in the body, thus promoting wellness.
Okay. Is there anything else we should know about free radicals and how to manage them?
Yes. By inserting negative ions in the body, you effectively clear out free radicals. We would like to recommend a product that the vessel of Brendon is using to do that very specific task. It's called Mega Hydrate. Its ingredients primarily include negative hydrogen ions, meaning that they have 2 electrons. So this is a very rudimentary way of helping to cleanse the body.
I heard that there's more negative ions around in the air at night time, and that's why some people prefer to stay awake at night time, because they intuitively feel this.
Now that you mention it, that is extremely correct.
Okay, and why is that so correct?
Well, a big reason is because there is less activity of various electronic devices during the nighttime. A lot of electronic devices, like televisions and phones, give off a lot of positive ions. And so at nighttime, the usage of that is drastically reduced.
Okay. Is there anything to do with our atmosphere or anything that happens at night time? I just wondered if they, I just imagined that like negative ions like floating down from the sky or something. I just wondered why they were.
Yes, moonlight does supply that as well. Moonlight is very healing. Moonlight contains all the memories of the planet. And by remembering, you're bringing back those assurances of who you really are. And so that could be on the physical level equivalent to clearing out all those free radicals. You're no longer thinking about being a finite, temporary, small being anymore. We're getting kind of philosophical in that sense, but you get what we're saying.
Okay. So I wanted to touch on the concept of wanderers and those beings that come to Earth. The souls haven't evolved on Earth or in the solar system, but the souls have come from elsewhere, perhaps even other galaxies, such as Andromeda Galaxy, I believe. Is that really true? And this is widely believed. What's your comments on that?
See, it's funny. We find that the only real misguided information about this topic is just the name Wanderers.
Right.
A lot of people think that means that you're just floating, around, like just going willy-nilly somewhere and landing somewhere and then doing good for that place. You are very consciously knowing what you're doing, accepting the mission that you have taken on for yourself, and you are trained very intricately and specifically for your goal wherever you choose to incarnate. The only reason you're called a wanderer is because you have accepted the role of entering any vibrational plane that you need to in order to fulfill your mission. You give up your home, you give up what you enjoy, you give up what you're familiar with in order to spread your vibrations to other spheres. This is most certainly being done.
Yeah. This is kind of anecdotal, but I asked my subconscious at one point to inform me where my soul originates from, and for a long time I heard nothing, and then at one point I just suddenly spoke to myself without even thinking about it as I was getting into bed one evening, and I just said to myself randomly, "Oh, when will I be going back to Andromeda?" And I looked up what Andromeda was, and it was a completely different galaxy. It is the next major galaxy to the Milky Way. So are beings actually coming from other galaxies within the universe, and not just from within the Milky Way? Are they coming from further afield, from other galaxies?
Yes, because what's happening on this galaxy directly affects all the other galaxies, as our galactic system is revolving around an even larger central point of the universe.
Right.
Yes, that is very correct.
So, how do they know what's going on here, and why is it significant?
Well, when you are a vibrational being, that means you have access to all vibrations at all times, meaning you know what's happening even on other galaxies, because it is just an energetic frequency that you can tune into at any moment.
And why would they want to come here?
Because the ripple effect of this planet and of the solar system ripples out into all creation. So it is not as if they're leaving home and going somewhere foreign. They are helping themselves. That is what service to God truly is. It is service to the entirety of creation. It is service to the wholeness of the vibration, which is God. That is what they're doing. They are in service to that.
And how is it helping creation by coming here and raising the vibration?
Well, you just answered it. It's coming here and raising the vibration.
Is that what creation or God wants?
Yes, the idea of creation is that every individual aspect embodies the totality. So by raising the vibration, you are bringing the being into conscious awareness of more vibrations, of more experiences, of more creativity, of more knowing.
Okay.
And by helping other beings, realizing that you are one with that being, you are helping yourself. You're raising your own vibration, because you can only raise the vibration of other beings as much as you can raise yourself.
Right. Are there what you might term as negatively oriented beings coming here to do the opposite?
Yes and no. They are actually, you could say, tricking people into raising their vibration.
Okay.
A low vibration, when we say low vibration, typically we mean distorted vibration. You can be on a low frequency, but it still be very powerful energetically, as radio waves are. But it is the distortion of why you're doing it that causes us to term them low vibrational beings. There's a misunderstanding in how that energy moves. So instead, they don't think that they can claim the energy from within, they seek it from others. And so they force them to provide them that frequency. That is what low vibrational beings are doing, essentially.
Well, I perceived negatively oriented beings, those who are service to self, as actually being of quite a high vibration, because they're probably quite happy. So if they're quite happy being, let's use the word, evil, then they're of quite high vibration themselves. If they're happy being evil, They just
Yeah.
cause a low vibration, a negative vibration like fear and sadness and anxiety in others, which they get a high vibration from because they're happy controlling others.
Yes. It is all a balancing act. There's really no such thing as evil in the grand scheme of things. It is just a different polarization. That's all it is. And it's just because many of the souls and egoic constructs on this planet have chosen to take on a certain polarization that when being forced to take the opposite, they choose not to do that. And so conflict happens. That's all. It's really not evil. It's just the way it is. It's just the evolution of souls. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, without those negatively polarized beings, we would have no positively polarized beings whatsoever. They would not exist.
There would just be, what, neutral or something?
There would be nothing. Nothing would exist.
Why would nothing exist?
The same reason we had in our last discussion. If you and I did not exist, and I could not trace back you all the way to the source, you would be taking a piece of infinity away from infinity, therefore making it finite, and there would be nothing.
Okay. So
you can't really explain it any farther than that. That's where you get to the paradoxical issues with the philosophy of God.
okay. So many people who believe themselves to be, well, continue to call them wanderers, they awaken at a certain time. Now, what benefit to them is it to awaken?
Well, I don't know. What benefit do you have from waking up from a bad dream? It's not like anything changed. You were just dreaming. All that changes was, well, I'm glad that's not real. You just thought it was really real. But that opens up an avenue for anything. Now you're like, well, okay. Now that I know this isn't real, look at all the possibilities I have, and then growth ensues.
Okay, and yet some wanderers struggle to find a purpose, and they feel like they need a purpose. Do you have any comments on that?
Yes, many wanderers are just concerned because they don't have an intellectual grasp of their purpose. They're always embodying their purpose all the time. They know what it is in their heart. But there's just still an imbalance between their heart and their mind that doesn't allow them to make the connection.
Yeah. So are there enough wanderers here at this time?
Yes, and more come through each and every moment. It's not really so much of a wanderer anymore because there is a definite cosmic plan of raising this planet's vibration in the best way possible with the least amount of resistance as possible.
Are there still third density beings incarnating?
Yeah, I mean, people are still having kids.
I mean, are the beings incarnating? I know the bodies are third density, of course, still moving into fourth, but the souls generating these third density bodies, wanderers coming from higher densities. Are there
Yes, there are still certain beings that require third density experiences, but of course, having the all-knowing principle of the soul, their soul knows exactly where they need to incarnate in order to have certain experiences that allow them to achieve whatever their goal is, whether that be to go up into the higher densities or to become whatever polarized being they want to be. You know, that goes back into the whole story again.
So is this okay? So is there some kind of limit on the numbers of higher density beings that can come and incarnate in this third density reality at this time?
Yes, we would like to use the energetic analogy of bandwidth. There's only so much bandwidth. There's only so much frequency that can come through a finite vessel such as the Earth. So just as if you pump too much water into your pipes, the pipes will burst. You could say that on the energetic level, only so many different vibrations and frequencies can be on the planet at any given time without there being conflict with the already present frequencies.
Okay. So many wanderers feel a sense of alienation here.
Yes.
Can you comment on why this is so?
They are not in a familiar vibration. So when you are not in a familiar vibration, you feel you don't fit in with your surroundings.
And how could they feel better?
Well, constantly they're learning the nature of the vibration that they're in. And once they realize what their original vibration already is, once you come to that realization, then you can mold the energies around you to that vibration. That's what you do when you incarnate. You're learning how to mold the environment to your liking, to your symphony, your vibration that you carry within yourself. And you're learning to choose what that vibration is as an individual entity.
Could a higher self, so a higher being, could a higher self project a fifth density version of itself into this reality as well as a third density version of itself into this reality?
Yes, in fact, all of us are doing that. It's all one self here, so.
One, well, yeah, we're all one anyway, aren't we? Divided up into these levels, these layers.
What you're addressing more is what are the individualized experiences of all these things? Because as we discuss, we're only speaking from a subjective viewpoint. So in that terms, yes, there are so many possibilities. That's why they say anything is possible. So any questions you have of could this happen, or yes, anything can happen.
It's true. If you go far enough up the tree, we're all one anyway, and all the higher selves will merge, and it's all one anyway.
Yeah, and it goes down the same way. It goes into infinite complexity and infinite creativity, down the other way.
So I practice past life regression. Basically, I could regress anyone into any life on this planet at any time, even any present lifetime occurring at this time, because
yes,
everyone is a past life anyway.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
That's it. So that might be why sometimes people go into lifetimes of well-known figures from the past, because everyone is that person anyway.
Yeah, and that was a very powerful entity. It gained a lot of attention from other entities. So it's a vibration that's more easily accessible. Yeah, when you're doing past life regression, you're taking the point that the individual is at, and you're going up the tree. You're going back up and tracing back where it was from.
Exactly.
And you can go as far back as you want.
Totally. So yeah. So the subconscious could present you with, because many people like experience being a Native American Indian or Tutankhamun or Elvis. Basically, the subconscious could present you with any one of them, because you've been any one of them before anyway.
Yes, exactly. In fact, you can trace all of humanity back to one human.
Well, that's true. On a physical level, yeah.
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 That means, and that's what the story of Adam and Eve was really about. The story of Adam. Adam was the atom, the thing that, an atom in various languages means that which cannot be divided. But it was divided. Adam's rib was taken out and created Eve.
Yeah.
That's the story. It just means the one individual consciousness split itself up and became many. And then you you can take that story and analyze it from different levels. You can say that on the human level, you can say that on the cosmic level, and any in between.
Hmm. You have still got your eyes closed, haven't you?
Yes.
Good. Okay then. Yeah, makes sense. So, why would my soul, for example, or whatever my oversoul is, why would I come from a completely different galaxy? I don't think I know the answer, but it's just beyond me, really. Okay, different question. Wanderers, is the sense that they feel of longing to go home, is that a real sense of longing for another place, another vibration, or is it just some physical feeling of just not fitting in here? Is it all just in the mind?
Well, you're really wanting to bring home here. That's why you came here. You want to bring what you know home, the truth you know at home, back here.
Right.
And it's not knowing how to do that that makes you feel frustrated.
Right, yeah.
But you actually already know how to do it. You've just been choosing not to do it, and you've been kind of beating yourself up for not doing it.
Well, I think it's a feeling of, well, many people feel that they're unable to, with the resources they have and just being one person, unable to make the change they want to see. But then again, we need to amass collectively and do it collectively, which is what we're trying to do, right?
Yes. It's a gradual change. And it's really just not understanding the patience required for that to happen that causes that frustration. You're just like, I want it to happen now. Why isn't it happening already? And that feeling is actually what holds it back, ironically.
Yeah.
Like, because don't worry, you've already done that. The minute you were born, you are bringing that vibration from home here. It's just you think you're not. You're always vibrating where your source consciousness is. You're always vibrating source consciousness. Always, 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 always.
So that's in my electromagnetic field, and other wanderers' electromagnetic field, their home vibration then.
Yes, and that's why the yogis say they can see God in everyone and everything. You're always vibrating source. Always, 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 always.
So one more question then before we close. My partner and I, we set up a website for a global unity meditation, which we do every Sunday, trying to get people to meditate together collectively. Please could you, for the purpose of raising the vibration, improving futures, so could you comment on the effectiveness of doing this?
Absolutely. If we look on an energetic level, every time that another individual is focusing on something that someone else is, if people are focusing on things simultaneously, you don't just double. It's not a linear increase in energy, it's an exponential increase in energy. And so the benefit of meditating at the same time is that everyone's intentions are to raise their own vibrations. And when you simultaneously do that, you raise each other's vibrations exponentially. And because you're connected to the earth, you raise the earth's vibrations exponentially.
Right.
It's pretty awesome.
It sure is. And at the same time, what, if any, effect would we be having on the mass consciousness?
You're providing an avenue for consciousness to access different experiences. What it's always doing, of course, but you're just allowing, you're providing the space. Just as we spoke about before, when you are parenting your children, you're providing the space for them. You're doing the exact same thing to your brothers and sisters in humanity.
Right. So providing...
You're all parenting each other, basically.
Right. So it's providing the space for humanity to step into that nice space and take that step, and the possibilities, providing possibilities then for a better way forward.
Yes.
Increasing the possibilities. Yes.
Yes.
Okay then. All right. Well, let's just draw to a close then. So, is there anything else you'd like to say before we close?
We love you all.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Love you too. Thank you for all your help. Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to count up from 1 to 10. And as I do so, you'll feel more and more awake and refreshed. So thank you once again.